Welcome to r/Am I the Butthole, where OP's daughter is obsessed with marrying a billionaire. Today's episode is sponsored by ExpressVPN. ExpressVPN has been a longtime sponsor of this channel because you need a VPN when you get online. A VPN protects your privacy while also unlocking content on your favorite streaming platforms like Netflix and even YouTube. Recently, I made an account on Redfin because we're house hunting. I immediately got 4 emails. One email telling me I signed up, and then 3 other emails telling me about houses that I don't care about. When you sign up to websites or apps, Express MailGuard allows you to use alias emails so that you don't have to hand out your real email address. You might think, what's the big deal? I can just hit the unsubscribe button. True, but companies that get your email will happily sell your email to other companies, trapping you in an endless advertising spam loop. With Express MailGuard, you can manage everything from one dash with visibility to forwarding, blocking, replies, sending, and delivery failures. Protect your privacy, and now also your inbox with ExpressVPN. Find out how you can get up to 4 extra months by scanning the QR code on screen, clicking the link in the description box below, or by going to expressvpn.com/r/. Am I the butthole for telling my daughter that she's not going to marry a billionaire? I'm a 47-year-old guy, and I have a bit of a problem. I have a 20-year-old daughter, and my wife is 46. My wife isn't my daughter's biological mother, but my wife has been in my daughter's life since she was 13 years old. My daughter's biological mother and I divorced when she was 12 due to her alcoholism. For about a year now, my daughter has got it in her head that she'll marry a billionaire, and that will be the only way that she can be happy in this life. I can only speculate that she got this idea from social media. She's not doing great in school at the moment, and all she talks about is marrying a billionaire. How she thinks she can meet one, what type of house they'll have, how she'll be in a private jet, etc. And she's trying to take the steps to make this happen, which has me worried. I found out that she has, for example, spent time in hotel lobbies and bars, having a drink trying to pick up older guys. Mind you, we don't come from poverty and she's never experienced financial insecurity, but we're definitely not billionaires. My wife has a brother who is very well off, and my daughter has actively tried to get closer to him and his family in the pursuit of wealth. It got to the point where she ended up sharing selfies from the family house on social media, and now she's not allowed in there anymore due to violation of their privacy. She's pulled similar stunts with other friends and family who have even a bit more of a lavish lifestyle. She's also tried to message some of my own work associates who are in more of a glamorous position at work than I am. And I had to find out from them after they shared what my daughter had been sending them on LinkedIn out of all platforms. More like sneaky LinkedIn. She'd been sending suggestive stuff to them and asked one of them to buy her fancy jewelry. My daughter isn't stupid. She's always done well in school until recently. Her performance is very bad at the moment. She got into a good university, and she's proficient in multiple languages. She also wrote a book when she was 16 and made it quite successful even. But something's happened that's made her so obsessed with money, and I have no idea what it is. She's temporarily staying with us for a few weeks, and she's looking for a new apartment. And for the past 4 to 5 days, this entire thing has had her so depressed that she hasn't gotten out of her bed. And she keeps crying because she doesn't have a billionaire boyfriend or husband, and she has to stay in places that are not as glamorous as she would like. She cries like someone has died, and it sounds like intense grief. Every morning, we wake up to her sobbing in her room. I've tried talking to her, I've tried the loving approach to comfort her, and telling her that one day she'll find someone who loves her as much as I do. It hasn't been good enough, and she'll say nasty things like, "Yeah, but he'll probably be broke, so I don't care." And then I took a more direct approach and told her that there's only a very tiny fraction of the world's population who are billionaires, and most of them tend to marry each other, or are married already. So the statistical odds of this billionaire romance happening for her are practically zero. My wife thought that I was being a butthole by being so direct with her, and that I didn't have to ruin it for her like that. She tried defending her by saying that my daughter is still young, and that I should allow her to have her fantasies, but I just don't agree. Everyone can dream, sure, but the fact that she's already violated the boundaries of multiple people, and that this situation is getting so on top of her that it's affecting her academic performance means that something needs to be done. This cannot be healthy in the long term. Plus, her trying to talk to much older men is just dangerous, and I really worry that she's going to end up hurt. Also, in an update, OP says that he found out that his daughter paid 500 euros to some Russian creator whose entire online persona revolves around provider men and glowing up. Also, OP describes talking to his daughter, and she broke down in tears, and this is what happened. She sobbed for a good 15 minutes without being able to say a word, but I patiently waited until she could. She told me that around a year ago, her and her friend snuck into a party together at one of those fancy hotels. Her friend apparently was also into the whole provider man dating trend. They had fun, had some food and drinks there, and according to my daughter, all the men were only into my friend. And a guy she'd been eyeing for the whole night ended up asking for her friend's number instead of hers. This is repeated multiple times over several months, where her friend would get approached instead of her. Then, a little later, the girls found out that there actually was some guy who was a few years older at the university in their program who actually was the son of a multimillionaire. It became a huge fight between my daughter and her friend, where they began both trying to get the guy. This other girl, who my daughter thought was her friend, started then spreading nasty rumors about my daughter, and also tried sabotaging her weight loss, as my daughter's always struggled with her weight. Her now former friend is now in a serious relationship with this guy, and as a result, my daughter feels like she was robbed of a potentially good future with him. She also said that she feels so jealous all the time of her friend that it's consuming her. I was a bit confused. That was all? I even asked my daughter multiple times that this was all that happened, and that no one had ever done anything to her against her consent, but no, that wasn't the case. She even went as far as to tell me that she's not even active, if you know what I mean. Sure, bullying can be traumatic, but my daughter's reaction still seems indicative of something else. So, all in all, not sure where to go from here. My daughter has thankfully agreed to speak to a therapist, so that's good news. Guys, get off TikTok, get off Instagram. It is good for your mental health to detox from those things. I realize this is ironic coming from a YouTuber who talks about Reddit, which is like double social media, but comparison is the thief of joy, and TikTok and Instagram are the kings of comparison. OP, I'm giving you 0 out of 5 buttholes. Your daughter needs a reality check. Am I the butthole because my husband cut off my son's hair, so I used his card to buy my son the designer jacket that he's been wanting? My son is 17, and pretty much all his life he's had long hair. He had long, thick, and very well-maintained black hair that went just past his chest, and he loved it. My husband, his stepdad, has never been a fan of it, and has always thought it was girly. He's never been mean or cruel about it to my son's face, but he said to me that he thinks he should cut it off. The two of them got into a huge fight because my son's been skipping his classes, and my husband decided that to punish him, he was going to cut his hair. I don't know how it went down, but when I came home, my son was crying and cutting his own hair in the mirror. I asked him what was wrong and what he was doing, and my son told me that my husband had randomly cut his hair short in spots, and now he had to cut it really short to even it out and make it look okay. I went to spoke to my husband to find out the specifics of what happened from his side as well, and it ended up in yelling because while I don't agree with my son skipping classes, I felt that cutting his hair over it was cruel and horrible when this could have been resolved another way. To cheer up my son, I bought him this affliction leather jacket that he's wanted for a while out of my husband's money. My husband found out and was furious, but I told him he shouldn't have cut my son's hair and he can do this as an apology. It's gonna take years for my son's hair to grow back, but my husband can make that money back quickly. Am I the butthole? You know, I heard a really great piece of advice that I will share with you now, which is if you ever see someone with a disability and they have like a wheelchair or a cane, you should treat that wheelchair or cane or even seeing eye dog as if it is an extension of their own body, as if it is a limb like an arm or a leg. So you shouldn't come up and grab some random person's leg any more than you should come up and grab a random person's wheelchair or their cane. And hearing that kind of really changed my perspective about just a person's body. And now the way I try to look at it is anything on a person, their clothes, their hair, their seeing eye dog, their cane, their wheelchair, whatever. I try to treat that as if it's like skin. Would I touch their skin in this situation? And if the answer is no, then I would not touch that stuff. So, I mean, obviously that applies to hair as well. Cutting off a person's hair isn't quite the same thing as cutting off like a person's arm. So the analogy doesn't quite work out. But, you know, when you look at it that way, it's really awful. I think the key message here is don't do things to a person's body without their consent. Which, I mean, it's not really a hot take. I feel like that's something everyone should agree with. So, you know, personally, I think we're moving into divorce territory here. This is abusive at the worst end of the scale and just downright a-hole, scummy, awful, terrible father behavior in the best case scenario. OP, I'm giving you 0 out of 5 buttholes. I'm giving the stepfather 3.5, maybe 4. I think 3.5 out of 5 buttholes. Am I the butthole for making a stink at school and forcing the teacher to change my kid's math grade? My kid, who's in 4th grade, has been struggling in math. It's been an ongoing issue. This whole year, she struggled with multiplication and division specifically. It's been a constant issue, and it gets even worse when they moved on to multiplying and dividing with multiple digits. We've tried the school's tutoring, but overall, she's just not getting it. She doesn't understand the method they're teaching. She gets it wrong like 80% of the time. It isn't easier, it's just more steps. For multiplying, you have to like break up the numbers and draw boxes and then multiply and then finally add them all up. I decided to teach her the way I learned, and she understands it. Homework is a million times easier now because she can actually solve the questions. The issue is that my daughter had a math test last week and she came home upset. She got a 50% even though she got most of the answer right. She missed 2 out of the 25, so it should have been a 92%. I had a conversation with the teacher, and it boiled down to my daughter didn't use the method shown in class. I pointed out the test just said to show their work and not show a specific method. The teacher basically went, "Too bad. If it happens again, it'll be a 0. I was fed up and went to the principal. I'll admit I made it a big deal, because I think it's ridiculous that she got penalized for getting the right answers using a different method. It's math. You can solve problems in a lot of different ways. The teacher was brought in. She was forced to change my daughter's score, and they said it won't happen again. She can find the right answer in any way she wants as long as she shows her work. My teacher was not happy. My wife thinks that I'm being a butthole and keeps bringing it up. She says the teacher has other things to deal with and that I went overboard. Did I? I'm guessing some of you may have heard of this new math, and maybe you've even been taught it in school. So a while ago, I was really curious about what all this fuss was about the new math, and I went to YouTube and took the new math lesson. I wanted to see what new math even is. And I discovered that while it is dumb and convoluted, and that the old school method is actually better, the reason why they teach this new math is that theoretically the new math method helps students understand why the numbers work the way they do in a better way. So it's not just memorizing formulas, it's actually understanding what's happening mathematically to the numbers. But if the new math method is just confusing students, then it's failing at its purpose, and you should just go back to old school math, which is, carrying the 1 or whatever. So the teacher is being a bad teacher. If a student is struggling with his method so much, he should have tried the old school method, which clearly works better. I don't know why OP's wife says the teacher has other things to deal with. I feel like a student who isn't learning what you're teaching is kind of the number one thing the teacher should be worrying about, actually. Also, you guys want to hear something weird? I don't understand this because it's weird, complicated math stuff, but apparently, if you have to prove your work about why 2 + 2 = 4, you have to use 2,452 sub-theorems to prove 2 + 2 = 4. Anyways, OP, you get 0 out of 5 buttholes. I'm glad that you're sticking up for your kid. Your wife should take a page out of your book. That was r/Am I the Butthole. And if you like this content, check out my podcast where I publish the exact same episodes. Also, hit that subscribe button because I put out new Reddit videos every single day.